Welcome back to Hobby Jogger Elite, and welcome to a training update on the Sub 250 series. One I did not expect to be making when I started this series, this training block. One that I didn't even know I'd be making a couple days ago, but one I certainly suspected may be in the cards. I am, to make a long story short, not going to be running a marathon this spring. I have done a bit of a pivot, a sidestep, or even a backstep, and I have transferred my bib in the Salisbury Marathon in the first week of April to a half marathon registration and bib. So I will still be training here. I will still be running. I will still be working towards some sort of a goal, that light at the end of the tunnel. It's just not going to be a marathon this time around because I think I underestimated the overall cumulative fatigue, the buildup of fatigue, not just physically but mentally, trying to tackle two very thorough marathon training blocks back to back without a ton of rest in between was definitely short-sighted on my part. And I should have paid more attention to, in hindsight, what worked for me last year, which 2023 was arguably my best year of running when I made the most progress. I PR'd at every single distance. And I think part of that, even though there were some shortcomings, some failures along the way, as there always are, a big part of accomplishing what I did was varying, distances, varying training philosophies, varying the workouts I was doing, periodizing my year as a whole, taking big breaks when I needed to, and really allowing myself to go deep in the well when I really wanted to and when I felt like I needed to. And taking a look at sort of what I've been doing since the beginning of July of 2023, it has felt like in my mind and like definitely in my body right now, like I have been marathon training for months and months on end. And kind of looking at my training schedule and my training history on Strava and taking a look at the big picture, in all reality, since the beginning of July, I've taken a week and a half, like 10 days, pretty easy in that span. And other than that, on a weekly basis, it has been relatively high volume marathon training. So, July to December with a week or two resting or taking it easy in there, that's a solid 5 months. And now here we are at the end of January, that's 6 months. So that's a lot of time to be kind of like doing the same thing over and over again. And this feels like more mental fatigue than it does physical fatigue. I don't feel like I've hit a wall physically, but the mental side of it and like admittedly the monotony of what marathon training can be and how much of a time commitment it can be, it is starting to wear on me. And I feel like that mental wear is translating to physical wear, where I just can't give it my all and approach each and every quality session and work out with the kind of energy I want to be able to dedicate to it. Running is a hobby for me. It's an interest that I love to do in my free time, but when it starts to feel like more of an obligation, depending on what the goal or the training is looking like, which it kind of is feeling like that with training for this spring marathon, I have to reassess the why. Why am I doing this? What am I doing this for? Is it worth it to sink myself this deep for something that I'm currently not feeling all that passionate about? It's not that I don't want to run sub 250 at the marathon distance. That is still the primary goal heading into my next marathon, which will now be Chicago in the fall of 2024. It's not about not wanting to accomplish that. That is going to be that goal. It is just about accomplishing that not being my top priority right now and not really holding my interest right now, because I was able to commit myself in every single facet when it came to the running, the marginal stuff on the side of running, the small training things, approach to sleep and nutrition and cross training and strength and mobility. Like all that stuff, I went so incredibly hard at during that fall marathon training block at the end of 2023. And to just sustain that without much rest in between blocks, not as fun as I thought it would be. And I'm trying to make myself do something if I'm not having fun. Running, I want it to be a fun thing for me. And in order to do that, I just want to sort of shift the goalposts. I don't want to take the goalposts away completely because I still like to train for something with a goal in mind. It's just the immense size of trying to PB at the marathon and train for it to the extent that I have to. Like, it is not in me to just run a marathon for fun. It is not in me to not train as hard as I can for a marathon in its entirety. I can't just have like a fun training block. I wish that I could. Otherwise, I would have just been kind of fine with this. But if I sign up for something, I'm giving it my all, no matter how I feel, no matter what I am capable of. Like, I have to attack it with everything I have. That's just how I am constructed. So, in order to do that and sort of give myself a little bit more space and time to recover, just again, going to shift the goalposts. So, we're going to be training for a half marathon in April. Probably going to take it easy the next week or so and do like a soft reset into a pretty brief half marathon specific training block here. And I'll probably reduce the volume a little bit, reduce intensity a tiny bit when it comes to how big the workouts are. And by the time April comes around, hopefully I'm in a good spot to, run a solid half marathon. But just mentally right now, there's so many other cups I need to fill. You only have a certain amount of marbles to allocate to these different cups in your life, like your social life, your work responsibilities. For me, being an almost full-time grad student, I just adopted a dog named Phoebe, who I absolutely love and had a terrible life up to this point. And we got her from an animal rescue, and she needs as much love and attention as possible. And then there's another cup with like family and all this other stuff. And sometimes you have to redistribute those marbles and dedicate more of them. And certain cups are just going to be a little emptier because of that reallocation. And right now, my running cup cannot be as full as it was training for the fall marathon that I did at the end of 2023. I hope that I can redistribute those marbles again and make that cup full heading into Chicago, because that is no doubt my goal A race, my top priority when it comes to racing in 2024. And I feel like if I just try to like push through the mental, physical fatigue and the lack of interest that I have right now in marathon training, it's going to make training for Chicago and running Chicago less meaningful. And that's the last thing I want to do. I want to make that a meaningful experience and process for myself. I said I was going to make a long story short, and here I am just rambling. So long story short, we're going to run a half marathon instead of a marathon. It's not dramatic. It's not the end of the world, but that's how we're going to shift. So the sub 250 series, it's going to not end. It's just going to be put on pause until the fall of 2024 when we give Chicago all we got. Why'd I do this to myself? I don't really know. I probably won't do a ton of back-to-back marathon training blocks in the future. And when I do, which I probably inevitably will, I'm going to give myself a lot more space and time to both physically and mentally recover and freshen up a bit between those training blocks. Because, a week and a half for me, 10 days, it wasn't enough, and I should have known it wouldn't be enough. So that's it. That's all I have to say. Hopefully it's not too disappointing to you. I don't know why it would be. Still going to try to make videos about the half marathon training here, and hopefully all is going well with you. Let me know what you're training for. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and we will no doubt catch up soon. Peace.